Three questions to ask before you give up on that friendship. Let's talk about it. Roll it. Welcome back to another video where we've been exploring this whole idea of giving up. How it's similar yet different to quitting, and how it's an emotional side of looking at things versus the logical side. And we gotta deal with that before making that decision. Giving up on any one person is incredibly challenging. Yesterday we talked about the family side of things, and today we're looking at friendships and how friendships are incredibly hard, especially when these emotions start popping in. Different reasons may happen. This video is not going to go into the details. I will be making more. However, in general, when a friendship starts to deteriorate, it's usually because priorities are changing. And when these priorities are changing, we really have to look at the expectations behind them. And we have to understand that change is occurring, and change tends to be a good one when we look at it from a perspective of positive movement forward, not negative and holding on to the past. The thing about friendships and relationships in general, any form of relationships, we're never taught about them at school. We're never actually taught the psychology behind it, what we're going to experience, how progression will occur. And with this day and age with social media, things have changed quite a bit. New dynamics, new thought processes, and of course, new things happening each and every day where you're like, what? Why would anybody do that? I think I say that almost pretty much on a daily basis lately. As we go through high school, and based on where you're from, 4 or 5 years, we start to fall into groupings and we start to hang out with a certain group of individuals. More often than not, this is usually based on either interests or classrooms. And as we go through this process, well, we start to formulate our own view of life, and new experiences are occurring, and off we go through this process. When we leave and go into college, university, or a trade, we start to see real life for what it is. And as that growth happens, well, certain friends will stay, certain friends will leave. And of course, when the new stages of life comes, like, that relationship turns into marriage or kids come along, well, now priorities definitely change bigly time, and things really change on a friendship aspect. And we need to be addressing these on a constant basis. We need to be analyzing, where's the friendship at, how is it moving, and what do we need to do to make sure that it's moving smoothly and emotions are where they should be, not in a negative place. Giving up on somebody who has been your friend for a while is difficult. When they're just new and maybe 6 months or a year, it's not as challenging. But when they've been around for 15, 20 years, it's incredibly hard. I guess after 5-year mark, I think that's where I've experienced the emotions behind giving up on somebody. Correction, maybe 2 years. 2 years. Yeah. The questions I usually get asked on this giving up on a friendship is usually when it comes to priorities changing in your life, and you're kind of like, I can't really handle the friendship the way it was, like having kids, and you can't really please everybody. The addictive people, the people in your lives that are moving forward in that bad place, where whether it be alcohol or drugs or any one thing like that. And of course the bigly one, toxicity. People who are incredibly negative, for one, and two, the ones that are part of the awesome cluster when it comes to narcissism. It's rampage out there, and people think it's something that's new, but it's been happening for a very long time. It's human nature. It's just that social media has changed the game a little bit and has given opportunities to people who are negative to really take advantage where they couldn't before. Somebody can challenge, no problem, and it's one of those things where you can challenge me that social media has changed it really, and it wasn't like that. But the reality, we're humans, and human nature is human nature. Tools make things better for us, so I'd love to hear your comments below. So what are the 3 questions, and how do we move forward through them? Well, firstly, we need to look at this idea behind where emotion's coming from. What is actually occurring, and why? Is it something that happened, or is it something that's been happening for a while? Is it because of these priorities changing, yet somebody keeps pulling you and complaining to you, hey, you're not spending time with me? Is it because there are many aspects that we're dealing with, and all of a sudden we got to focus on what we're doing, and the other person is going, what about me, and making you feel like garbage? Or is it because they're just purely toxic and they don't want to see you be happy? There's many aspects there, and it will fall based on a scenario that you're in. You need to analyze this, and you need to ask yourself, where is this emotion I'm feeling coming from? Number 2, what's the expectation? What expectation did you have at the beginning of the friendship? And then what's been happening now in the current moment? Our actual progress of friendship starts when we make that friendship. We kind of create that expectation as we start hanging out more and more. We don't really talk about that expectation. And as we progress through the friendship, well, what ends up happening? We start moving in different directions because of our lives, and we don't address the expectations that we think we should have on a friendship. And then as it gets worse and worse and worse, one friend is feeling like garbage, and the other one is feeling, hey, I'm doing the right thing for me, and I have this awesome friend by my side. Yet the emotions aren't really measured. Now, it could be you on either one of these sides. However, the idea is very simple. Where are the expectations? Have you communicated the new expectations? And what direction are you moving in? I have had friends who got married, had kids, and they were kind of like, I'm too busy. I can't hang out with you anymore. But how about you come by and hang out with me for an hour while I change diapers? Look, if you're so busy with your kids that you can't spend an hour to have a coffee, I don't want that in my life. I don't want that. Yeah, I want to come out and hang out with your kids sometimes, but I want to hang out with my friend. And whether you're female or male, I think this applies. I want to hang out with you, even if it's an hour. It's great. Swing by, have a coffee, whatever. But I don't want to be doing that every time. I communicate that, and if they want to make the effort, great. If they don't, I got other things to do. Really, I do. And the reality is for me that when you have your kids around and when you have your wife around, your husband around, we can't really be one-on-one. And the relationship, that friendship that we had, the dynamics are changing. I analyze those and I ask myself, is that what really I want right now? That has to happen from both ends. And it does when you state it, and that level of effort that comes out from it is there. Question number 3. What's going to happen when you do give up on the person? What emotions are you going to feel, and are you thinking about the other person? We need to address this because the end game is for you to walk away so that you feel good inside, not garbage. That garbage feeling, that negative emotion. That's critical. Because regret comes up, and it comes up quick. You can't really control it unless you've structured it in a way where you're not going to feel it. I know we've all been there, and I know we've all experienced this, and sometimes that regret is easier to get rid of than other times. But why have it at all? Feeling what you're feeling and you giving up is critical. And when it comes to things that are toxic and you're seeing the toxicity and you're trying to address it and you can't, that one is more of a let's just cut the cord and that's it. Well, other times you need to progressively diminish that amount of opportunity for you to hang out with the other person, communicate, and spend time with, so that they eventually start to feel the change is occurring and they start to address the change. Sometimes people don't feel it. Even when you tell them, listen, I can't do this anymore, I need to focus on this, they have a problem with it. People have problems with change. It's there. When priorities are changing, we need to communicate that with a friend. And if they are a true friend, you would be communicating this to them so they understand. When it's an addiction problem, well, now we have to look at it and we have to ask ourselves, how much can we help somebody? And how much is this affecting us? It's critical here. This is critical because that can lead down a world of hurt for you. If you just give up and cut the cord, not communicating things, I guarantee you, it's something that's been happening more and more, and I talk to more and more to people about, if that person does anything incredibly bad, if that person ends up committing suicide or, hospitalized, you name it, you will have that moment where you say, if I stayed friends with them, would have they done it? And would have I been able to provide that change where they didn't do it? Am I the reason? And then regret will hit you so hard you won't know what happened. And toxicity, well, toxicity is toxicity. When you are seeing negative emotions taking over and it's always negative, that one is difficult and usually one of the hardest, because when toxic people get in there, they push away all your friends, they push away your family, they push away everybody around you. And then all of a sudden you're left with just hanging out with them. And if you are around them all the time, oh man, it's so hard to just be like, hey, I'm done here. Because you're faced with this other side of nobody. And then you have to redevelop those friendships you had, and of course, go find new friendships. It's so hard, and the regret can come in quick, and then you find yourself calling that person to apologize, and that loop repeats. As you're going through this process, I encourage you to check out the whole series on quitting, because it will be critical in you really understanding the process to take once you make the decision of what form of giving up you are making. Is it a full give up, or is it a partial give up, or is it a gradual give up? Or did you go and address everything and then all of a sudden you're back to a friendship that you can really have and be really good with, instead of one that you keep feeling these negative emotions about? Now, of course, this is one way to look at things, and it's the beginning of one way. My goal with these videos is for you to begin researching, begin finding more sources, begin seeing other point of views, so you can really create your structured approach to these kinds of situations in your life. They're critical to understand when you're going through them, the process you're taking, and how to apply it in different scenarios, so that you can have that positive, healthy, happy, structured life. I also encourage you to leave a comment below. Leave your story. Every story is different. Somebody might be reading that comment down the road, and who knows, you might help change a life.